Welcome, you're watching Capital Today Hari Raya special on the second day of Raya. My name is Ashki Rahmat. Now let's take a look at our first story of the night. Silver Lake Group of Companies, a global IT solution provider, is optimistic on the growth of fintech in Malaysia.
Managing Director for Islamic Banking, Othman Abdullah, said this is because both Bank Negara Malaysia and the Securities Commission are looking and adjusting the regulations to promote fintech in the country.
But I am very optimistic about it looking at the recent announcement by our governor, knowing that Bank Negara and Security Commissions are working on the necessary adjustment in the regulation. I see that we are talking probably in about next few years. I cannot say 5 years or 10 years, whatever, but I think that in the next few years, we should be catching up very fast.
Bank Negara Governor Datuk Muhammad Ibrahim had said recently that the potential impact of fintech could be significant, with 10 to 40% of banking revenue possibly at risk by the year 2025, due to innovations outside banking institutions that are able to offer a significant pricing advantage. Muhammad noted that the central bank is reviewing the changes needed to its regulatory framework to ensure that it remains appropriate to manage the risks involved. According to Othman, such moves will ensure the progress of fintech in the country in the next few years. He said the current regulatory environment is not very supportive for the growth of fintech in the country.
Okay, a bit on the regulatory environment, yeah. Based on some of my past experience, I can say that the current regulation in place, the environment is not yet very supportive. However, things are changing. Something that I know for a fact that every time a bank would like to introduce a new innovative solution, with a bit of what we call bi-directional education, meaning that when the bank would like to introduce the product in the market, they will have to educate the regulator, and the regulator will also educate the players in the form of customer protection, security, and all that. So with this bi-directional education in place, regulator seems to be willing to make necessary adjustment to support the innovation. Yeah. So again, if I can rephrase or if I can summarize, the current regulatory process in place is not yet very supportive, but things are changing. The regulators are making the necessary effort to make the adjustment to promote the innovation.
Othman also said that financial institutions can consider collaborating with fintech providers and leverage on their technology partners to cater for their market needs.
Look at it is by collaboration, yeah, by collaborating with the fintech companies. For example, to cater for the market segment that still prefer to come to the branch to do the transaction, bank can come up with more innovative solution to provide more efficient services to the customers. For example, they can always offer paperless transaction. Okay, for example, when people want to come and open an account, they can come to the branch without without filling up any form, can still open account. So what bank can do, they can work with technology provider out there that is always ever ready to come up with innovative IT solution. They can basically partner with this company. That's how they can leverage on the fintech companies.
Othman noted that financial institutions can also design incubation programs for startup companies with innovative ideas in fintech.
I think we should adopt the same approach. The problem with the traditional banking mind is that product and services design are own institution oriented rather than customers oriented. It is how the new products and the services that they are about to offer can benefit the institution rather than can benefit the customers. In addition, when banks design the products, they always have this policy in mind, the regulatory compliance in mind, and because of this, it prohibits the out of out-the-box creativity. However, the non-bankers, they do not live in the bank policies and regulatory compliant environment. Therefore, they could be more creative and coming up with game-changing innovation. So we can do this in Malaysia, as I mentioned earlier, by collaborating the financial institution providers with the non-fintech players. What financial institution can do, they can come up with incubation program where they can basically provide an environment where they can invite these startup companies that have great ideas to innovate by supporting them, and whichever company that come up with good innovation that is suitable to be adopted by the financial institution, they can then adopt the solution. Yeah, so that is basically how we see some other more advanced countries have been successful, because the bigger financial institution there, they provide incubation program that basically promote or facilitate people with ideas to materialize the idea. Yeah.
Othman noted that the cost of fintech for a financial institution depends on the complexity of the solutions.
That is a very subjective question. Okay, the reason is because the cost of IT, there are many factors that we have to factor. Yeah, so I cannot say how much exactly, but it really depends on the environment, the complexity, whether the system that they have in the bank are already supportive of fintech innovation. So many factors before we can decide on how much they should allocate.
Othman said, with the emergence of fintech, financial institutions are now facing competition from non-bank fintech players that are offering alternative financial products.
In my point of view, IAP is a very interesting model, and it definitely is an innovative idea by our Islamic finance players. With the introduction of IAP, it further facilitates the role of IFI as investment intermediaries. The potential looks very promising. However, the model is still very new in Malaysia, and the people, especially the investors, will need to be educated first to make them comfortable with this new investment model. Yeah, so that is basically on the potential. Eventually, IAP processes will have to be fully automated if it would like to be to really call itself fintech, because at the moment the way IAP is operating, the way I look at it, is very much just like a portal for you to browse through the information. Yeah. Because any transaction, you still have to go to the bank. Whenever you want to apply for the financing, whenever you want to invest, you still have to go back to the bank. Eventually, what would be nice for IAP is for the business venture that would like to raise fund, they can just immediately submit the application via the portal. And the member bank that would like to assess the viability of the project can pick up the application directly from the portal. They can do whatever the necessary assessment, and they can approve it online as well. And subsequently, when the project has been successfully listed in the IAP, when the investors would like to invest, they can also directly invest online by debiting their money directly from the account within the same bank, or by using the, nowadays you have IBG, you have Rentas, you have JomPay, where you can use this payment channel to directly debit your accounts with other banks.
He also said that the newly launched investment account platform, or IAP, needs to be enhanced. IAP is the first bank-intermediated fintech platform developed by wholly owned unit of RAID, IAP Integrated Sdn Berhad, which comprises a consortium of 6 Islamic banking institutions, namely Affin Islamic Bank Berhad, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, Maybank Islamic Bank, Bank Kerjasama Rakyat Malaysia Berhad, and Bank Simpanan Nasional. IAP facilitates direct investment by investors in viable ventures of their choice.
In my point of view, IAP is a very interesting model, and it definitely is an innovative idea by our Islamic finance players. With the introduction of IAP, it further facilitates the role of IFI as investment intermediaries. The potential look very promising. However, the model is still very new in Malaysia, and the people, especially the investors, will need to be educated first to make them comfortable with this new investment model. Yeah, so that is basically on the potential. Eventually, IAP processes will have to be fully automated if it would like to be to really call itself fintech, because at the moment the way IAP is operating, the way I look at it, is very much just like a portal for you to browse through the information. Because any transaction, you still have to go to the bank. Whenever you want to apply for the financing, whenever you want to invest, you still have to go back to the bank. Eventually, what would be nice for IAP is for the business venture that would like to raise fund, they can just immediately submit the application via the portal. And the member bank that would like to assess the viability of the project can pick up the application directly from the portal. They can do whatever the necessary assessment, and they can approve it online as well. And subsequently, when the project has been successfully listed in the IAP, when the investors would like to invest, they can also directly invest online by debiting their money directly from the account within the same bank, or by using the, nowadays you have IBG, you have Rentas, you have JomPay, where you can use this payment channel to directly debit your accounts with other banks.
Fintech refers to the application of technology within the financial services industry, and it covers a wide range of financial activities. In a technological jargon, fintech refers to as a technology startup that is disrupting sectors such as mobile payment, money transfers, financing, fundraising, and asset management.
So fintech literally is just a contraction of words finance and technology. It refers to the application of technology within the financial services industry, and it covers a wide range of financial activities such as financing, payment, risk management, data security, and customer interface. But from technology jargon perspective, fintech is associated with technology startup that is disrupting sectors such as mobile payments, money transfers, financing, fundraising, asset management, etc. Yeah? These fintech companies provide alternative financial services products. Okay, so that's what is fintech all about in short. Okay, so you're also asking about the history of fintech. Yeah. Okay, so a bit of history. Actually, fintech has been about more than 60 years ago. Yeah, fintech started more than 60 years ago, back in the 1950s, when credit card was introduced. Since then, it has evolved with many more what we call game-changing innovation, such as ATM in the 1960s, electronic stock trading in the 1970s, bank mainframe computers in the 1980s, online banking and stock trading in 1990s, etc. So over these 5 decades, the fintech innovation has helped to make financial institutions to operate in more automated ways and to provide more convenient services to their customers. Okay? However, post-2007-2008 financial crisis, we saw a different type of fintech revolution. During this time, policymakers were busy coming up with what we call prudential requirement, so-called to make the finance industry safer. While financial institutions were busy investing in solutions for this newly introduced compliant requirement, technology players and venture capitalists saw a different opportunity. Yeah? They partnered, the technology players and the venture capitalists partnered to come up with a more convenient, more accessible, and more cost-effective solutions. And these solutions are offered by startup companies and provide alternative to the financial services product. So in short, that is a bit of history of fintech. Okay, so as I explained earlier, basically fintech is just the word of contraction of word finance and technology. Yeah? So it's basically financial technology. So with that, basically we can say that all financial institutions in this world are already running on fintech in some form or the other. Maybe some are more advanced than the others. Some examples of the non-traditional bank type of fintech services are peer-to-peer lending, or we also call it P2P lending, crowdfunding, money transfer, mobile payments, trading platforms, wealth management, and insurance. Some of the players in this fintech, some of the companies that are providing fintech, the names are like Funding Circle, Funded by Me, TransferWise, TradeCrowd, and Cantox. Okay, so you're also asking question, what are or some examples of fintech in Islamic finance space? So far, there are not that many, okay, but there are some. Like for example, there's this company called Beehive, which is based in Dubai. Beehive, Jakarta-based Blossom Finance, and there's this Singapore-based Capital Boost and also Club Atis. Yeah. So these are some of the players in fintech in the Islamic finance space. In order for me to explain about this, you probably have to understand a bit about the Islamic finance comparing to conventional finance. Yeah. Okay. Basically, if we were to compare conventional finance and Islamic finance, the uniqueness of Islamic finance lies in the investment return and the cost of financing, in which both of these in Islamic finance have to be interest-free or no riba. Okay, so other financial services which are offered by conventional finance, which are mainly fee-based, can be offered under the Islamic finance. Likewise, not an issue. Okay, so because of the uniqueness of Islamic finance lies in the investment return and cost of financing, which have to be interest-free, naturally, the fintech innovation are basically also predominantly in the form of crowdfunding and P2P lending. The reason is because these segments involve fund providers looking for Sharia compliant investment return, as well as fund users looking for Sharia compliant cost of financing. Yeah, so that's the main reason. Naturally, because the main difference between conventional and Islamic is on the investment return and the cost of financing. So naturally, on the fintech, the innovation are also around the area.
Moving on, but still on fintech, IAP Integrated Sdn Bhd is urging investors to depart from their traditional financial management and use fintech instead.
Chief Executive Officer Izzam Mohammed Yusuf said the challenge for the company now is to educate the investors on how fintech benefits them.
There are many financial technology available in the market. For one, having a new thing, we want to create trust from the market. So the challenge is having people to depart from their money using a platform, and also to raise funding through the platform and not going to the traditional way, walking into the bank. So that has to be created by IAP. And one of the challenges is to educate the market, the public, as well as all the stakeholders that how IAP can be of value to the market. And one more challenge would be how to make IAP relevant when there are other options available in the market providing similar services.
The company recently launched a portal, the Investment Account Platform or IAP, which facilitates direct investment by investors in viable ventures of their choices. It facilitates efficient intermediation by the sponsoring banks to match financing requirement of ventures with investment from retail and institutional investors via investment account. IAP Integrated is a wholly owned subsidiary of Ride Holdings Sdn Bhd, a consortium of 4 Islamic banks, namely Affin Islamic Bank Berhad, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, and Maybank Islamic Berhad. The consortium was later joined by Bank Kerjasama Rakyat Malaysia Berhad and Bank Simpanan Nasional. IAP Integrated started its business in 2015 as an internet-based multi-bank investment portal. The portal will facilitate efficient intimidation by the sponsoring banks to match financing requirement of ventures with investment from retail and institutional investors via investment account or IA. IAP Integrated aims to be the leading multi-bank platform for Sharia-compliant capital mobilization, supported by a conducive ecosystem.
The investment account platform or IAP is a multi-bank platform that facilitates channeling of funds from investor to finance viable ventures. Funds are mobilized via IAP, are intimidated by participating Islamic banks through the investment account platform. In essence, it's where ventures, when they want to seek financing, they come to this platform to raise funds, and their proposal will be sent to the participating bank and be reviewed by them. So after reviewing, the successful ventures funding will be listed on the platform. This is where the investors have an options to look at whether the kind of risk that they want and the kind of return that suits them. So this is where it creates an ecosystem for investment or for fundraising, and it creates an opportunity for the banks to create a fee-based income.
According to ISAM, IAP makes a difference in various ways. It provides opportunity for the banks to make a fee-based income. Meanwhile, investors can make a choice when making their investments. ISAM said the IAP allows opportunity for ventures to come to a single platform to be channeled to various banks for their funding to be considered. Previously, ventures will go to various banks individually, but with IAP Integrated, they can go to a single platform where it will be picked up by various banks to evaluate their funding requirements. For the investors, he said it is a platform where they can have an option to choose what type of investment they prefer and the type of returns that suit their investment's risk profile.
Okay, for investors within IAP, actually it's open to both retail investor and institutional investor. So for retail investor, there's a bit of assessment that they have to go through to really see whether they suit to invest in IAP or IA products. As you know, investment through IAP or investment income products are not capital protected. So the type of investors that we assist or that can come and invest are those with a certain risk profile or risk appetite. So by them going through a suitability assessment, they would know, and we would know whether they suit to invest in the products on the platform. And by them doing the suitability assessment, it will gauge and will help them to see whether the investment that are currently on the platform, it suits their risk profile and investment need. So that can be something that can help them choose the investment within their risk appetite. And as for institutional investor, this can be an options where on top of whatever investment they already have, we are putting an investment where traditionally is only done by the banks, where the banks are sharing as well as return and risk with the market. So this is another option and opportunity for others or for investors, be it retail or corporate or institution, to come in and share the return from what the banks are traditionally getting throughout.
ISAM highlighted that IAP will be assisting both retail and institutional investors. For retail investors, he said there will be an assessment that they will have to go through to see whether they are suited to invest in the IAP. He noted that investments through IAP are not capital protected, and hence, the type of investors that IAP will assist are those with a certain profile.
You see, one of a few major differences that IAP has or have is it's bank back with the experience of the bank screening the ventures. That will give some comfort to the investor. So each bank, the participating bank, are able to float or list ventures that are which they have experience in reviewing and screening. So that's one. And the other difference would be we have a RAM rating where RAM will come in and give an independent view about the venture. That will give some comfort to the investor on what kind of risk they are getting into, and they will make decision based on an informed decision based on the information provided on the platform. So in essence, this will be one of the advantages or differentiation where IAP can compete with other fintech provider within the same portfolio.
As IAP integrated is bank-backed, it will provide comfort for the investors. He said each participating bank can list the ventures in which they have experience in reviewing and screening. Izam also said that the company has RAM ratings, providing its independent view towards the ventures, such as the kind of risk it is getting into, and the company will then make decision based on the information provided by the rating agency.
Since the launch in February on the 17th of February 2016, there's one listing or funding being raised through the platform. It was done by Bank Muamalat. The amount is 10 million, and the company or the venture that raised the fund is Perak Transit. Alhamdulillah, after 2 weeks, it was successfully raised the funds of 10 million, where the return is estimated about 6.5% to the investor over a period of 3 years. So for now, there's only one listing. Then inshallah, after July, there will be more companies will be listing the banks will list the ventures on the platform for fundraising for investors to look at.
When asked about the performance on IAP Integrated, Izam said since its launch in February this year, there is one funding being raised through the platform. According to Izam, it was done by Bank Muamalat that amounts 10 million ringgit, and the ventures which raised the fund was Perak Transit. It was successfully raised after 2 weeks, whereby the return for the investors is estimated at 6.5% over a period of 3 years. To date, Izam said there is only one listing. Funds mobilized are intermediated by participating Islamic banks through the investments account platform. IAP came from Malaysia after the introduction of the Islamic Finance Services Act 2013. In 2014, the development started thus few banks come together and develop IAP portal. IAP started last year and it was launched on 17 February 2016. Thus, that is the beginning of the availability of IAP to the public.
Well, the outlook for IAP for the next 2 to 5 years is to get as many investors on board, both retail and venture, to come in and see the opportunity that IAP offers to become an option for them, whether a particular industry or a kind of return that they want, IAP are able to provide. So the outlook for the future also, we envisage that there will be more, if not all, Islamic banks come onto the platform to use it as a single platform to provide services to the public, to the investor public. And for the venture, this will be to ease, to cut short their time in terms of, rather than going to every bank, they come to a single platform to seek financing, and where the funding review will be done by many banks. So this would help them in terms of a standardized format on how for them to approach financing. So the outlook for the future, for the next 2 to 5 years, we see IAP grow into more stakeholders participating in the effort to grow investment account. Okay, IAP is new in the market. It's a way forward for the Islamic finance, where it provides an avenue where fintech is relevant. And by coming to IAP, it will create an ecosystem that will really be a game changer to the traditional way of doing things in the past. So we hope that with IAP being present and being enhanced over time, being with other fintech available in the market, IAP are able to really provide value to all the stakeholders sponsoring banks, investor and venture for the future.
We're going to take a quick commercial break right now. When we come back, we're going to have an interview with Lazada with regards to its Riang Ria Raya campaign. Do stay tuned to find out more about this interview.